Hey everybody, just thought I'd update you on my build for Season 6. A little bit further, I know I posted some videos where just showing you what I was doing throughout the season. Main concern, of course, was getting to the end game, which I'm still working on. So what we have right now is we have a Spiritborn, Volley. I'll go over my build with you real fast before I actually do a run. I do have the Harlequin's Crest, and I use the Pock and Q on this one. That gives me a barrier from the Druid. As you can see, my masterworking isn't even close to perfect or anything like that. Right now I'm just trying to get everything to 12 and increase my power, of course. I do have the Jarell's Might. You can see the masterworking on that. It's a little bit all over the place. I haven't figured out what I want. Just trying to get everything lined up. On my gloves, I do run Moonrise, Quill Volley, which is important, and of course barrier generation. It's going to be very important, and I'll show you why here in a second. We have overpower damage, which this guy depends on overpower, and with the talisman and the staff, I overpower basically on every hit, and I'll show you how that works. Tabalt's Wheel, nothing special there. I just can't get a better piece of gear, so I just deal with it. The boots here, not quite what I want, but most definitely something I use. I do have vortex size, 77.5%, and that's basically just sucking things in, so I like that there. You could probably put barrier generation there to get to 100% on that, but I'm only like 2.2 away from 100% on barrier generation, so that's where we're at. We have my quarterstaff here, and this basically makes everything work. This makes your core skill into a basic skill. Takes a 30% damage reduction on it, reduced damage, and basically it uses all of my my vigor, whatever it is,
home away from home.
And then it actually goes and triggers the talisman, which then overpowers every hit. So it's pretty crazy the way that it works. And like I said, none of my gear is perfect. It's still a little bit early in the season. On my ring here, I use Redirected Force, which basically gives me critical strike damage of 58% of your block chance. My block chance is like 45% or something. So it gives me roughly about 20%, 25%, somewhere in there. Critical strike chance. And of course this right here works where that when my staff uses all my vigor, whatever it is, this will actually give me back 47% of that whenever it goes through. So whenever I hit the last 2 seconds, it'll give me 47%. So if I hit twice in 2 seconds, it basically almost gives me 100% back. So it's very important with this build because we're triggering this on every hit, 275% of your primary resource. Going into my stats here, what I'll show you is that it's very important you at least have that 275% so that you're bouncing. You'll see my vigor, whatever it is, go up and down all the time because I'm losing all of it. I'm gaining all of it back. You can see my resistor capped. Critical strike chance is low, but with the aspect, it's around 30%, which is fine. Attack speed, I'd like it a little higher, but at this point I just don't have it. Critical strike damage, overpower damage, which is important. All damage, and then we get into the non-physical damage. Now you have to remember when you're using Volley Quill, it's a Latin skill. So most definitely you want to try to push your non-physical damage and your damage with lightning up as high as you can get it. And as you can see, I'm about 200 in each of those. Rest of these with poison. I use my centipede. That adds a little bit of poison damage there. We have damage with elites, 117%. My life is at 7,000, which this season is getting up there. And I'm going to show you why this is important, because you're overpowered based off your life, your maximum life. So what you have is, that's where the calculations coming in for overpower damage. If we go back up here to the top, it actually says that when the skills they overpower further increased, the moment impact based on your maximum life and fortified amount. I don't have fortified, I have a barrier. So basically, the way I have this set up, it's where I have my life and then I have a barrier of almost my full life that generates. So as you can see, here's my block chance, which is 45%. My block reduction, which I guess if it blocks, it takes away 18% of the damage. My all damage reduction there. My damage reduction with barrier. And as you can see, my barrier bonus is at 97%. So I can get up to almost 100% of the actual life that I have. So I have a barrier of about 7,000. And then I have my actual life itself. My dodge chance, a little low. My fury generation, this is important because this feeds into the ring and regenerating all your fury and keeping you going. So most definitely something you want to keep up with. I know that Rob has a spreadsheet that actually tells you how much of each you need in order to make sure that you're getting them 275 and spending it. I'm really good, really close and solid with that. Cooldown reduction at 43.9. What this, basically does is your skills basically have the hectic on it. So if you're casting, you're getting a little bit of reduction on your timers, but this just makes it faster. So I can almost have my Jaguar up all the time. All right, so that's the stats I have at the moment. As you can see, my armor is just a little bit over, but I run the mercenary. I'll show you that. That gives me a bonus percent to armor, so I can actually lose some armor and I'd be fine. I use the Jaguar on the primary, and the main thing there is for the extra damage in the 15th hit. So, it does a lot of damage, just put it that way, whenever I'm using that. And of course, the gorilla, when you have the 5 stacks of resolve, you're unstoppable. So basically, I'm unstoppable all the time. So what you're looking at is that Tibalt's Will, that bonus that you get for being unstoppable, is all the time. So, and you have to remember that whenever you're triggering that, you get 50 resources. So it all works out really nice. I can't believe actually they let all this go through and nerf the bar, but that's what happened. All right, let's go to the Paragon board. Right now I'm at Paragon 229. So, actually, well, that wouldn't do. So, this is basically the starter board, and in the starter board I have Spirit. And it actually is at level 100, if I'm not mistaken. I'll show you that here shortly, but this is the max distance that it could go. And then we come up and we go to the Vicious Shield board, which I run Canning. That gives me bonus to non-physical damage. There's rumor there's a problem with this glyph, but I don't know. I hit solid, so I don't mess with it. And then we come over, and this is the sapping board. And I use the, I don't know, whatever you want to call that one. And this one's level 100 also, and I'll show you those levels just here in a little bit. So then we come over to this board, and this one is Convergence. And we have the talent here. I think this was like level 80. As you can see, it adds to the eagle damage and lightning damage. And the last board we have, because we do have a limit of 5 boards, is Revealing. And this one is Colossal. I don't know. They say it's the best one to use because of the multiplicative damage that it supplies down in the additional bonuses. But we don't have a gorilla skill anymore since I wear the Harlequin's crest. When you have the other helmet on, the Harmony, it actually makes all your skills, all of the damage are the spirit types. So it makes sense for that. But from everything I'm seeing, it's still the multiplicative with the 2% increased damage for each stack. That is the good stuff. So that actually helps each stack of resolve. Alright, so let's go over here. As you can see, this one is level 100. The Spirit is level 100, which those are the max you can get. The Talon is 83. Colossal is 73. Canning is 69. And then I also have this one, which if Canning burns out or finds out that it is bugged, then I'll move to this one. But you can also use this one in place of Canning, so it's not a bad option to actually use. I have it at 60. I just decided to stick with Canning until we figure out what's going on there. Alright, let's look at the skill tree. Alright, for the skill tree, I just have 2 points in here. Doesn't really matter because you don't use a basic skill. Everything rotates around your Quill Volley. So I have 19 bonus points in Quill Volley. And we go back to the Advantageous. And of course we take Vigorous, Balanced, and Follow Through. Which that gives a bonus to your basic skills, which remember that our staff makes our core skill a basic skill, so that's why I just spam this all the time. Vortex, that's what pulls everything in, and so I can actually hit it. It's pretty nice. I actually enjoyed it. If you don't use it here, I would suggest using the runes to get the vortex. It's overall, that's what I did before. Mirage, gain 100% increased dodge chance during your invade. So if you're evading, you'll have 100% dodge chance. You gain 35% critical strike chance for 3 seconds whenever you're doing this. So what you're looking at from that perspective is I'm gaining 20 or 35% there, the 20% from the aspect plus the 12 that I have, I'm looking at 60%. 12% increased damage when you're unhindered or unstoppable. You can't pass that up because remember I told you we're always unstoppable. So it's just an added bonus that you have to take. Focal point. Quarterstaff gives you 5% block damage reduction. Only have 1 point in that. And you deal 9% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. Doubles that if they're an elite. Also use Ravager, excuse me. Just a shout that, does additional damage per strike for 6 seconds. It's pretty good. We go back to measured. So what this causes is that you'll see me jumping around. Sometimes this is a mess because you're trying to kill stuff in a certain area and you're jumping all over the screen. But overall, I mean, you're looking at 30% increased resource generation. So, it's important whenever you see how the build works. Casting a defense skill gives you some vigor, whatever it is. Then, of course, right here for each stack of resolve, which you could have up to 10 stacks, or I can, you get 1.5 additional damage reduction. This right here is pretty important because it gives you 2 resolve stacks. And remember, everything's rotated around these resolve stacks. And so you're going to get 2 every 5 seconds. And becoming unstoppable, you get a 100% block chance for 4.2 seconds. So there's a lot of just crazy stuff that protects you. And of course here, this gives you, it grants you maximum resolve and increases your thorns. And then we do go back to armor hide, which increases your block damage reduction. And for every nearby enemy up to do 20%. Now this one, counter attack, I don't even put on my board or my bar, but remember that I have the the weapon ring that gives you the passives for having this active. So you're just looking at, only thing I keep this on here for is to gain 15% dodge chance. See the passive on it, and automatically retaliate against close enemies for so much damage when you dodge their attacks. So if I dodge, I'm going to hit them back for this regardless, because the ring activates and I don't even have to have all this on. And of course you have this passive down here that increases your critical strike damage up to 6% multiplicative for every close enemy up to 30%. So I just have that there to do, for the passives. That's it. I don't even use this skill. We have this one, which we just have 1 point in. Sometimes this one gets a little frustrating because it fears the enemy and they run away. So it's just a mess sometimes. But the poison damage on it is good, and it does some crowd control. And I get increased damage crowd control, so I use it. This right here gives me extra life for a gorilla skill. The only gorilla skill I have is the yellow one here, which is armor hide, which I cast all the time. So it gives me more life, which you have to remember, more life equals more overpower. So that's why I have that there. And of course, because this thing can damage a little bit, I have it there for 5% in case, I don't know, it wants to execute a non-boss. We have Eagles, our Brilliance, which is your Eagle skill damage, is 9% of your movement speed, so that helps out on Quill Volley. We have Potent, which increases hitting them with the Jaguar skill, which will be a lot that we do. They take more damage. And of course your Jaguar skill increases your critical strike damage per stack of ferocity. And then of course we have Resolution. I'm not going to go through any more of these. We have increased ultimate skill is attached, Supremacy, and the Hunter, which is the Jaguar. And here's what makes most of it, or mostly all of this work, is every 3rd consecutive cast, the same basic skill increases all purchase skill ranks by 2. So, as remember, my core skill is basic skill, which that means all my skills are going to go up by 2, which gives me more overall damage. And then, of course, every 3rd consecutive cast, the same core potency skill, it reduces all the cooldowns by 10%. So it increases by 2% for each of their skill ranks. So anything we have a cooldown on, minimum we'd have is 7 on all of these. So we would gain quite a few percents there. All right. So last but not least, we have our mercenaries. The main mercenary I'm using right now is the shield guy, whatever you want to call him. And this is what we do. It's pretty basic. Over here, with shield charge. He grants 15% armor, which if you're having trouble hitting the armor cap, that's great. I'm actually going to drop my armor down. And He taunts enemies around me and does damage reduction up to 20%. And then you deal increased damage to enemies that he's taunted, so 15% multiplicative. Alright. Oh, the last one. I just started leveling this one, so it's level 9, but this is the, I call it the Necromancer, but this is the skills that I'm using on this. It's damage reduction, you know, reduces their damage that's dealt whenever I use the Hunter. So I use the Jaguar all the time because of the added damage it does. So, makes sense. I was using Sabu the Archer and did the shield guy here, but I sort of like this one better. Okay, these are my current stats. And now we will run the 101. I think I went over everything. So now we'll show you how it actually performs in there. Now keep in mind that I'm only 229 on my Paragon board, so it goes up to 300, so I don't have everything. And of course my gear isn't where I'd like it to be, but it's the best I can do at this time. So I have cleared up to 105, and as you can see, I can, well, 108, something like 106, I don't know. But anyways, I can go to 110 at this point, but right now I'm just leveling my glyphs to get a little bit stronger before I actually, you know, push a little bit further. And this year the pit, or season, the pit, it goes up to 150. So let's see how we do here. Please put on a potion just so I can get extra experience for my killing this stuff. My season experience crap. Alright, now hopefully I don't die. We're gonna see, I have the damage curve out, so you can see the damage I'm doing. And actually, billions. It's crazy. You really see the damage go up when you use the Jaguar as much as you can. But the barb is good too. I haven't seen this much damage. Actually, they say this build will do trillions. I probably would never give it up to be trillions, but you never know. On my Jaguar there, it's like I'm hitting them after, or pushing it after they're already dead. I'm not mistaken, if the Jaguar actually kills an enemy, then it resets the time. That's how you want it. So you trigger those trigger powers. That's the orange, I guess it is. Lots of damage, I think it says, but someone else is probably the expert. But that's where you see a lot of the big hits for billions is actually in the white. Sometimes I wonder if it's a calculation, but there's 92 billion. Everything on the screen hit that much. What it does to the boss. So not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Put the hundreds down here at the bottom this season. The objective is try to get all these to 100 today so that I have all of them placed, because I know as soon as I do that, of course, something's going to change and I'm going to be re-leveling some of these others. So as you can see, I have one at 36, which was Revenge. That's what you use on the starter build. And then one at 60, so I could have used all those points on this. But hey, what do? Right? Stuff changes and you just have to adapt. So that's a 101 or 100. I'll run something a little bit harder now, just so you could see what it does at the higher tiers, even though 100's what, 60% of the way to 150 or something.
Starting from nothing.
So let's run. What we'll do now is we'll run. Let's just do. Ooh, I don't want to do 110 right now. Until I get my glyphs leveled. Let's do a 105. Do a bit of a jump. They have a lot more hit points. So it takes a little bit more to kill. jaguar going along with that centipede, it does really good damage. I'm excited to see what it can actually do. Once I get everything maxed out. When you're doing these boards, if you're doing a board that has more points than you have, what I'm going to suggest for you is don't fill out the boards completely. Open all 5 of your boards, get your glyphs in place, and then start back filling out the boards. And the reason that I say that is because I tried to fill in everything that some of these guys were showing, and the problem I had is that I'd have 2 boards and not be able to use the glyphs and stuff like that. So I always went for, what I found is, I went for the glyphs, and then I went for the legendary node, and then I'd open the next board, and then I'd go back and backfill anything that I had left. So that way I'm gaining the power of the board and the legendary node, and then I'll go back and gain things like max life and things of that nature. Just remember that on this build, you want 275 primary resource, or you probably should be playing something else. I think I have like 330 or 315, something like that. And it took me a little bit to get stuff to it. And then you're going to be looking at it going, I'm not getting what you're supposed to go get. But you just have to keep pushing these glyphs and your equipment in. And people will start seeing bigger hits as you go. Because I know it's always discouraging when you see something like a streamer, and you're sitting there hitting for trillions. You know, you're over here hitting for 50,000 or something crazy. You just have to get yourself to where these streamers are sitting there playing all the time. It takes time. Have fun. Play your game. Have fun. Do the best you can with what you got. I'll be honest with you, you really don't need to hit for Quill. I mean, it's cool. It's you. Do the best you can. Nowadays, can't tell. I always wonder, I wonder if I'm hitting for like 400 billion. Could be 3 million for all I know. As you can see, that barrier. Pretty much up all the time from the wood room that I do. Every time I use 5% of the resources it casts it, well, as we discussed, I use way over that every run, so it's always casted. Which that's what keeps me alive. Whenever they take that away, You see a bunch of dead Spiritborns running around, just laying there. Even though they have actually some pretty cool skills that they should add to other classes. Like, anybody should be able to stand in the middle of this stuff and just face take everything. Just be the barbarian. Alright, let's see what the number 5 boss does. So that gives you a basic idea of where I'm at in my build. Actually, I'm doing fairly well considering what it's a week into the season. No, when you're leveling these, they can fail. If you see the success chance still says 100%, so I always try to do around 100, but you know, just do the best you can with what you have. If it's a 25% chance and that's the best pitch you can run, push the button and see what happens, because you sure don't want to waste them. If you fail, you lose the points, of level up points, of course, but hey, what else you gonna do? But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that I gave a good update and you saw how the build's performing. Overall, very happy with it. Have had to make changes and do some certain things, but I'm having fun with it. Get some more life here. And you know, that's the key. You buy the game, you want to have fun, so always have fun. Don't let people discourage you or tell you're crazy. And if you want to try your own build, always do that. Normally what I do is I follow a meta build at first, something that, you know, the streamers are talking about. You know, I always follow Rob 2628. He's a great guy. He explains things fairly well. Also Lucky Luciano, he does some real good rogue builds. He's doing a good Spiritborn build this season, so look them guys up and, you know, see what they got going on. Then as you go through and you're learning and understanding your build a little bit more, then you can go through and make some changes and try different things out. You know, it's just not always about what they're doing. It's about what you want to do too, because it is your game. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions or anything, you can look me up on in the game, and I'll be happy to give you my advice, or not that my advice matters, but, you know, tell you what I know, and then we'll go from there. Anyways, I hope you have a good day and a good rest of your Sunday, and enjoy work tomorrow. Take it easy. Bye-bye.